This is One-on-One. Larry Downs is Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of New Jersey Natural Gas. Good to have you on again, Larry.
Steve, glad to be here.
For those who do not know the organization, explain who you cover and what you do for them.
Well, New Jersey Natural Gas is a natural gas distribution company. We serve about 500,000 customers, primarily retail, in Monmouth and Ocean, and a little part in Morris County.
We had John recently on Capital Report, our public policy program, talking about the folks you serve and the challenges that you've had with regard to post-Sandy. We're doing this program in the spring of 2014. But one of the things I wanted to do on One-on-One is talk to you about the question of leadership. You and I have had an offline conversation about some of the challenges post-Sandy and leadership, and some of the heroic things that took place, not just with your team, but with nonprofits in the Monmouth and Ocean community. Leadership lessons learned post-Sandy, particularly this far out, include?
Well, first thing I have to say, I'm in my 20th year now as CEO of New Jersey Natural Gas Company, and during that time I have learned a tremendous amount about leadership. I've also learned what leadership is not. It is not some abstract concept. It is not just philosophy. It's real, it's alive, and it's got to be part of your organization. In fact, I've come to view every individual in our company as a leader. It was back on Halloween of 2012, just a couple of days after the storm. We had to shut down about 32,000 customers. It was a very, very difficult situation.
It was dangerous, that's why you shut them down.
What happened was we could not ensure safety, so we had to shut it down. But I think your viewers probably remember that morning, early that morning, where the news helicopters had picked up fires that were burning. They said it was in Maniloking. It was actually in Brick Beach. And it was going to be our job to put those fires out. So that morning, our team put together a plan. And basically what we had to do, the plan was originally to come over the Maniloking Bridge. But the Army Corps of Engineers had told us that it just wasn't safe. So what our team did, they were broken into two groups, 7 and 4, and what the 7 had to do was to get a boat and basically get in that boat by the Maniloking Bridge, head south down to Curtis Point. The other 4 individuals were in 2 crew trucks, and they were following a front loader up 35. There was 6 feet of stand on Route 35 to get to the point where the fires were. Now they had 100 pounds of equipment on their back. And if you can picture the scenario, it was daylight, it was actually sunny that day, but the debris and the sand had covered everything. And what they did was to go area by area, finding those fires, digging through all of the debris, all of the sand, to put those fires out. It took them 17 hours to do that. And it was at 17 minutes after 4 in the morning the next day that I got a call from Craig Lynch, our Senior Vice President of Operations, telling me that the final fire was out. It was just a remarkable day. It is one that is still in our company today. All you have to do is mention the boat, and you find out that they know exactly what that was all about.
Interesting. This is the annual report, right? 2013.
Yes. Yeah.
Take a look at this, Bob, if you can zoom in on this. You see the crew right here, right? You see that?
Yeah.
It was a good crew. That's all it says, right? But it describes who those guys were.
It was a great
They put their lives on the line.
Well, they really did. And you know what was interesting is when the plan was being developed and the challenges arose, I'm the CEO of the company. They didn't call me and say, hey, Larry, what do you think we should do here? They didn't send me an email and say, do you have any thoughts on how we should handle this? There's no manual to tell them what to do. They did it. And that is the essence of leadership.
So it's interesting. Someone says, well, leadership is the CEO telling people what to do, when to do it, command and control, managing the process, and you say?
I say that's a very limited definition of leadership. You're only successful in an organization, as I said at the beginning, if you create a culture where every individual in the company is a leader. And we talk about that all the time, but you only find out whether or not that is actually true in a situation like this.
In crisis.
In crisis, that's exactly right. Now, this is just one example, and I could give you, dozens more of individuals in the company who had to make decisions on the spot because people's health and safety were on the line. You know, this is one very vivid example. And when something like that happens, the positive impact that that has on the entire company, I can't tell you how important that is to really underscoring the company's values and the things that we stand for.
Sent a lot of powerful message to everyone else on the inside.
Absolutely.
The other thing you and I have talked about post-Sandy, and by the way, not too long ago, and we'll do this again, the Caucus Educational Corporation went down to the Jersey Shore. We went to Ortley Beach, which you know well. We went to Point Pleasant. We went to Seaside Heights. And we did a series of interviews with people who are dealing directly with Hurricane Sandy. And also we talked to not-for-profit leaders that actually your organization helped us identify. Yeah. Not-for-profit leaders who, some of them didn't even exist when Hurricane Sandy hit in the fall of 2012, yes. Right? Yeah. They were created because there was a need. What does that tell you about leadership?
Well, I mean, that was, again, the stories there we could go on and on about, but it was really built around inspiration. It was people wanting to help others. I mean, our team did an outstanding job, as they always do, and we were able to help, you know, the larger organizations that we all know, United Way. And
the Red Cross, United Way, Salvation Army, the Food Bank of Monmouth and Ocean County.
Absolutely.
But then there were some others that you didn't even know existed.
That's exactly right. I mean, there are so many examples, but for example, Project Paul, which is out of St. Anne's Parish. Project Paul. This is really a group of individuals from St. Anne's Parish up in Keansburg who had a food pantry, had financial assistance, and their building was actually damaged during the storm, and we were able to help them.
What's that have to do with leadership?
Well, if you go back to the leadership definition that I use, that it's actually every individual has to be a leader. When people stepped up the way they did, nobody had to tell them what to do. They knew what the needs were, and they were able to meet those needs. You know, I can't say enough about what the volunteer fire departments did. You know, one that comes to mind is in Ocean Beach, you know, near Ortley Beach, where there were just tremendous needs down there. They helped us. They allowed us to use their facilities as a staging area. Our guys were able to rest there. And then another one that's actually, it's an interesting one because it's a national organization called First Book, but is playing such an important role getting books to young people right now throughout the service territory. But in addition to all of those organizations, there are so many people that are not part of an organization that just came out and wanted to help. Those individuals were showing leadership in their own right. So it's not just the large organizations. It ultimately comes back to the individual.
Do you think, Larry, because Larry and I talk a lot off camera. I do a lot of leadership development, which you know, off camera, that's the work that I do, leadership development and coaching, and it's a subject you and I think about a lot. Yeah. The Christian brothers who trained us, you at Bergen Catholic and me at Essex Catholic, that's what they tried to teach us. Yep. Do you think that on some level we're all, quote, natural-born leaders, but looking for I don't want to be overly philosophical, but looking for the opportunity to step up?
Yeah, I think the answer is yes. And when I think about, you know, a personal definition of leadership, it revolves around three areas: learning, teaching, and sharing. We all have to learn new things every single day. We all have gifts that we've been given that we can teach others, and sharing, which is what I think the Sandy relief effort was all about, is sharing those gifts and talents with others. That's what leadership is all about.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating 25 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by Activists in cooperation with the American Medicine Chest Challenge, Choose New Jersey, NJIT, Health Republic Insurance of New Jersey, the New Jersey Education Association, Berkeley College, and by the Healthcare Foundation of New Jersey. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area. One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been produced in partnership with St. Joseph's Healthcare System.